Hello and welcome back to this section. So in the previous section, we learned about serverless and we learned about Azure functions, which are one of the key serverless offerings on Azure platform, right? And I hope you've done your hands-on exercises, you followed the instruction, and I hope you're playing around with the functions because they are very important component and they're also fun to work with. Okay. So make sure you're following everything we've learned in this serverless and make sure you do some hands-on with your Azure account. So in this section, we are going to learn about API management. Now, just like serverless, API management is another buzzword, right? There's a lot of talk about API management in recent years, and you definitely would have heard API management somewhere, right? So in this section, we are going to learn everything about API management. In general, what is API management? We are also going to create the API gateway on Azure. We are going to learn how does Azure API management work, what are the benefits of API management, how to use that, when to use that, a good use case, So make sure you're following this carefully, and because regardless you're an integration developer or not, API management is something you can always leverage about. It's a good skill to have on your resume, right? And it's not that just Azure offers API management. Every other cloud platform has their own API management functionalities, right? And there are some companies who are built upon solely providing API management functionalities, right? So there's a lot of use for API management, and we are about to learn why it's so important, right? So let's see in general terms what is API management, right? So before we learn about API management, let's make sure you understand what is API, right? So API in the previous terms, it was called as web services, right? But now API is more generic word for that component, right? So you want to, you have built some functionalities within your system, and you want to allow someone from outside to use that functionality, right? Or you want to allow access to some data from your system or from your organization, right, to someone outside. And API is the best way to do that, right? So API is basically someone can request, send you a request to a designated endpoint. You receive the request, you process that, whether it's accepting the data, whether it's a request for the data, whether it's a request for some kind of functionality, right? You do whatever you agreed upon to do as part of that API, and then you return some kind of response back, right? So in a much higher level terms, that's API, right? So we've also reviewed, right, that in the recent technological changes, a lot of systems, almost all systems are moving to having APIs, right? So they don't want to, some of the older technologies like file transfer or FTP, where you create files and send it to someone in a file location or FTP location, and another system reads that file. That's kind of async manner of data exchange. Every system wants to move away from that, and they want to come up with some kind of real-time data transfer, right? And real-time communication between two systems, and that's where API are very important, right? So in recent years, all of the systems, they're building their own APIs, right? So even if two systems within one organization want to talk to each other, want to communicate about some data, right, or send or receive some data, they would expose their own APIs and then let other systems talk to each other, right? And that's why, in the cloud integration space, APIs are very important to learn about, right? And henceforth, the API management, right? So let's understand why you need API management, right? So as we just discussed. So in recent years, what's happening is at the enterprise level, Every system, every potential system, they have their own APIs, and they talk to each other using each other's APIs. And a lot of time, there are businesses that are built upon APIs, right? So they would build some functionality, and then they would they would expose that functionality to the world via API, and companies would charge users to use that API, right? For example, if you want to place a functionality on your website, for example, where you track some kind of stock exchange, right? Let's say New York Stock Exchange, right? So there are APIs that you can call, right? You can just pass the ticker of a stock, and it would return you the current rate or what's happening with that stock or the news regarding that stock right now, right? This is one example. Weather API, right? So if you want to have a functionality to display weather or use the weather data to come up with some other business, right? There are APIs, weather APIs that you can use, right? So you can pay for these APIs. Google Maps, for example, right? So if on your portal or on your application, if you are using Google Map to show some kind of location data, right, then you're again calling Google APIs, right? So Google would give you certain requests for free and then would charge you. So in the recent years, there have been many businesses which are built upon purely selling the APIs, right? And this is a huge industry, right? So all of these APIs are built upon the internal systems within your organization. When you have multiple systems exposing APIs, building their own APIs, but when you want to, streamline them and expose all of these, and let the outside world have access to all of these functionalities or all of these APIs, you better have more controlled API systems, right? Not every system can follow the same standard, right? One of your organization system can have an API built upon a .NET. Another one could have an API from Python. Another one could have an API from Java. Could be anything, right? So you cannot follow the same mechanism, same security or same transparency mechanism for all the APIs, right? So that is why it's very important to have an organization-wide API management functionalities, right? So whatever the outside world sees is one sequence of APIs, one series of APIs, but behind that wall, behind that API management wall, you can have numerous systems or numerous different APIs, right? So you can have one API for the outside world, which behind the scenes could call 3 more APIs to return the data to that one API, right? So there are a lot of use cases like this, but one of the most important business case for API management is to streamline the control over your APIs across the organization, right? So these are in general terms we are talking about API management. We are not yet talking about the Azure API management, okay? So in general terms, API management has 4 main offerings, right? Let's look into them one by one, right? So the first one is being a developer portal. Every API management system offers some or the other type of developer portal, right? We'll see what is developer portal in the next video, right? And then there is something on API gateway, right? That's the most important part of the API management, right? So API gateway is a wall, is a facade between your organization systems and the outside world, right? So you don't want your outside world to see where each API is hosted, what each API does, right? You want to streamline all of those backend APIs and expose as a streamlined API to your outside world, to your customer, to your developer, right? So that's where API gateway comes in the picture, right? You can streamline all of the APIs at the API gateway level. You can apply similar security mechanisms across all of your APIs, right? You can do a lot of things at this API gateway, and we'll learn about that as well in the upcoming videos. The third one is the API lifecycle management, right? And this is also very important. And you may have seen in almost every API endpoint, you would find something called V1, V2, or V2.1, V1.2, something like that, right? So those are versions of the same API. Right? So when an organization builds an API and gives it out to the world to use, right? That's not the end of that API, right? They're going to keep on improvising, keep on adding new features to that API, keep on adding new fields to that API, right? So when they do that, right, they cannot get rid of the old API, right? So what we do is we usually add a version of the same API. So it's called exact same API. It does the same functionality plus a little bit more, right? So now you have multiple APIs, multiple versions of the same API, right? So this is the API lifecycle management, right? So every API management tool offers you the API lifecycle management. And the last one is the analytics capability and the capability to monetize your API, right? So you have all this, let's say 100 APIs coming out from different systems within your organization, right? And then you're exposing them outside, you're letting the outside world or your customers or your developers to use all of these APIs, right? But then you at the organization level, you want to know the data or the analytics behind this API. How many times each API is being called, who is calling it, how many times each person is calling it, right? Is there a throttling needed? You know, is it returning errors? If it's returning errors, at what frequency it's returning errors, right? So at the organization level, you want to get all of this analytical data so that you can make sense out of it and fix things if it's broken, right? You can take a lot of decisions based on this analytics, right? So that's why the analytics is a key component of any API management tool, and being able to monetize your APIs, right? So you build all these functionalities and you are ready to sell it to your customers, right? But these API management functionalities, API management tools should be capable enough to let you sell your APIs, right? So we'll also learn in more detail in the upcoming videos. But these four, in general, these are the most important functionalities that's offered by every API management tool, right? First one, a developer portal. Second, the API gateway. Third one is the lifecycle management, and fourth one is analytics and monetization, right? So we've just talked about the API management in general, right? In the upcoming videos, we are going to learn in more details about all of these four different options that every API management tool offers. I hope this is exciting. I hope you're finding this exciting because it really is a big buzzword in the market right now. And if you have API management as part of your skills on your resume, trust me, it would add a lot of weight to your profile. Thank you for sticking around. I'll see you in the next video.